War 3 be like? The simulation scriptures give us an answer here in number 7. It's bleak, it gets dark real quick, but then it also brings about a sense of curiosity. Because this is why we're here. We are playing this simulation to experience World War III, to experience all of it, in all of its darkness and dread, and in all of its light and hope and humanity. And then the answer ends with that hope. So I'm going to read through it and let me know what you think. Let me know if you can feel this intuitively on that horizon. If something like this seems to be brewing in the world today, or may have even begun. Here we go. World War III will be the last war. As it is written in the New Testament, Programs, Book 8, verse 60. The world you know is ended. You are to witness a third war, one that shall be unlike any before. And that is followed by Lamentations, Book 1, the whole book. Even now, the winds of chaos fill the lungs of peoples of all nations, sowing fear, mistrust, and fearsome anger in the hearts of men. Even now, the earth itself trembles under the weight of the gathering storm. A horizon of darkness, new horrors. The nations of the earth gather their weapons of mass destruction. They shall clash upon the land, and they shall clash in the sky. They shall clash within the oceans, and they shall clash under the stars. They shall clash in the financial realm, and they shall clash in the cyber realm. They shall clash with new bioengineering, and they shall clash with new chemical poisons. Science will be weaponized. Feels like something that we've already seen. You will look into the heavens and see white trails of hypersonic missiles shrieking into cities you believe to be safe. You will be starving and cold as cyber attacks cripple power grids, leaving you to face the night alone. Unforgivable new diseases will drift through the air you breathe. Bioengineered poisons will turn to ash the food you eat. Mass migration will wash over national borders in tidal waves of starving flesh, and you will lock your door in fear. The fabric of society unravels before your sunken eyes. This shall be the war to end all wars. There will be horror, there will be ruin, there will be a loss of all hope. There will be untold numbers of dead and dying, pain and suffering, cruel and unusual hate and anger, a tide of total war. The horror will be unlike any before and unlike any after. The horror must wash over everyone. Every man, woman, and child must bathe in the darkness of humanity. Every eye must see the waves of cruelty that humans are capable of committing. Every beating heart must drown in waters poisoned by revenge, animosity, and hatred toward their fellow man. Every ribcage must be crushed under the weight of guilt for the unforgivable things they will do to each other. Only then will people vow an end to war, an end to all war. Only after this monstrous wave recedes, only after the storm clears, and the heat of the yellow sun burns into the souls of the people, the few people who survive, will they make this vow. Only after the heavy and full and true realization of all they are capable of all that humans are capable of doing to each other, of all the cruelty, malice, brutal savagery, wicked inhumanity, and unforgivable evil that a person is capable of inflicting onto another person. Only after all these things come to pass will they vow an end to war. Then, and only then, will people vow an end to war. People will vow an end to all war. All war will end, and those who survive will rebuild the world. The world will be rebuilt anew. Survivors will rebuild the world better than it ever was and better than it ever could have been. New technologies, new music and art, new countries and new heroes will spring forth. And so too shall spring forth hope, hope and strength and prosperity. Safety, security, and peace will reign once more. Humanity will rise as a phoenix from the ash. New forms of government will be born from the people, by the people, and for the people. New music will dance through vibrant streets. New art will inspire young generations. New ambitions will unite humanity and propel people to settle Mars and the planets beyond. All hope which died shall be reborn anew. All kindness, decency, and love which died shall be rekindled once more. But first must come horror, incredible horror. That concludes the answer to what will World War III be like. I can see it. I can see every one of these sentences coming true, from the ones that I dread to see, to the ones that I'm curious about, to the ones that are hopeful and that I want to live to be able to experience. Rebuilding a world. It's beautifully written, and it gives me a lot to think about. How does it affect you? What do you think of this? What did it make you feel? What did it make you think? Did it also inspire a little bit of hope, a little bit of curiosity, besides just dread? And then, just to conclude, I wanted to talk about something that this answer made me think. One of the first questions after I read this that I had was, why? Just like with everything else that I've been wondering, why? Why do we need to go through World War III? Why does humanity need to go through a third world war? Wasn't two enough? If you've read anything about the first two world wars, they were absolutely brutal, just as brutal as this. There were also chemical poisons before those were even banned. There was also the atomic bomb leveling entire cities of not just military personnel, but also innocent civilians. There was incredible horror in World War I and II. So why did we not learn the lessons from those first two world wars? We went through this already, people. Why can't we just learn the lessons, move on? Why haven't we already vowed an end to war? I mean, maybe humanity did after World War II. Maybe there was the United Nations and there were a few other organizations, right, that vowed an end to war and bringing peace. And clearly that didn't work out. And clearly we are on the brink of another world war. So again, why? And the only reason that I can come up with, because it's not provided in the simulation scriptures, the only reason that I can come up with is that those world wars were not world wars. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if this thought of mine makes sense. And if you have other reasons, absolutely comment them and share them, because I'm curious. So, the reason that we are headed for another world war is that in World War I and II, those wars were not truly global. Not every corner of the world was affected. And I don't mean like Antarctica and the penguins need to be extinguished. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that the massive amount of destruction that happened during those wars was predominantly concentrated in and around Europe. Yes, there was absolutely destruction in Japan and in other areas of the world, but Europe was leveled in many places. Certainly at the core of it, Germany, Poland, and many other places in Europe were firebombed and leveled, London as well. Anyway, we could go into details here. My point is, and it scares me to make this point, is that it seems like that level of destruction needs to happen around the whole world. That's the frightening conclusion that I've kind of come to. Because after that level of destruction, it was predominantly in Europe where the people said, never again. I don't want to go through this ever again. I vow not to make these same mistakes. And since then, the wars that we've seen popping off around the world have not been in that sphere. They've been outside of it. Now, again, we can debate that till the cows come home. But my point is that it feels to me intuitively that now that humanity is in this interconnected global world, it seems to me we have the seeds, we have the game board set for a truly world war where every nation will be affected, where the destruction will be global. And because of that, humanity, people around the world will vow an end to war. And this, on the horizon, might truly be the war to end all wars. The last war. That's why this gives me a mixture of dread and hope. Because it doesn't seem to me like there's any way for humanity to get its act together besides suffering something truly incredibly horrific and then saying, okay, no more, never again. And if that's the price we have to pay to get to this other side, to get to a world where new forms of government will be born from the people, by the people, and for the people, where new music will dance through vibrant streets, where new art will inspire young generations, where new ambitions will unite humanity and propel us to settle Mars and the planets beyond. If World War III is the price we have to pay, then I guess we have to take it. Obviously, I want there to be a different way. Absolutely. But we've already had 2 world wars. You would think after the first one that people would be like, no. And you would think after the second one they'd be like, no. But here we are, a third. Those are some of my thoughts, anyhow. Let me know what you think. I am curious. If you think that we can get through to a new world without a world war, if you think it's inevitable and the only way, and just generally, what your impressions are from number 7 in the simulation scriptures. In the meantime, I'm going to go to question 8. Will I survive? Because that is another question that I want the answer to. Will I survive? All right, here we go.